There are fewer of them in the Mediterranean Sea these days. The rickety boats and dinghies that ferried more than 1 million refugees and migrants to Europe last year. With winter approaching, the perils grow. But that's not stopping desperate people from risking their lives to reach Europe. Though down by 50%, refugee flows are expected to continue at their current levels. The main reason? The intractable conflict in Syria.
Have the drivers, have the root causes of forced movement, have they changed? And I think the answer is clearly, given the state right now of the Syrian ceasefire, clearly the root causes have not changed.
It is not just Syrians dying while fleeing to Europe. The latest tragedy, a boat carrying 600 migrants capsized off the coast of Egypt last week. The bodies of women and children were among the some 170 retrieved.
This is a tragedy. People are dying needlessly because our policies are basically end up indirectly and inadvertently subsidizing the smugglers because they're pushed into their hands.
World leaders gathered in New York last week pledged to more than double the number of refugees they take in legally, with the U.S. raising its cap to 110,000 a year.
I'm heartened by the commitments that have been made here today. They will help save lives. But we're going to have to be honest, it's still not enough. Not sufficient for a crisis of this magnitude.
A fragile ceasefire in Syria collapsed last week after Syrian jets bombed a UN aid convoy, and the Syrian government announced a new military offensive in rebel-held Aleppo. Syrians account for 28% of refugees in Europe this year, and with no end in sight to the conflict now in its 6th year, the trend is likely to continue. For VOA correspondent Masood Farivar, I'm Steve Baragona.